In the calendar year of 2020, I made $6,697. Of that amount, $2,791.91 came from my W-2 job working retail at H&M. In the calendar year of 2021, I made $38,191, all of which came from YouTube and YouTube-related activities. And in the calendar year of 2022, I made $40,463, all of which came from YouTube and YouTube-related activities. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm not telling you this to brag or to flex or to be braggadocious. After all, I do live with my parents, and those are not crazy numbers by any means. These are numbers that I believe anyone can achieve if they just put in the effort and they have a genuine passion for the content that they're creating. The reason why I'm making this video is because I believe those numbers could have been much, much higher if I had access to the information that I'm about to disclose in this video. Now, the first thing that you need to understand about making money on YouTube is that, truthfully, the title of this video is misleading. YouTube should never be paying you the most money, meaning that out of all of the sources of income that you have as a content creator, YouTube should never be the number one source in and of itself. It should be the YouTube-related activities that pay you more. And as I go through this video, you'll start to see what I mean. Again, if I had this video back in 2020, I have no doubt in my mind that I would have already touched six figures, not throughout my whole YouTube career, but probably on a per year basis for the past couple of years. That being said, there are three primary ways that most content creators make money. And I'm going to disclose the sources of income in the inverse order of efficiency, meaning that I'm going to go from the least efficient way to the most efficient way. All of them should be implemented and integrated in some capacity, but generally speaking, you're going to want to focus less on the least efficient methods and more on the most efficient methods. The first way that you can make money as a content creator is through AdSense. Basically, advertisers pay a set amount per 1,000 views, which is also known as your RPM. They pay a set amount per 1,000 views of any video that you post, and per 1,000 views, you receive that amount. So in other words, they are paying YouTube to showcase their ads on your videos and by extension, YouTube's platform. YouTube takes a cut and then you receive, I believe, 55% of that number. Or really the RPM is your 55%. The 100% is the CPM, which is how much they value those 1,000 views. This might sound a little confusing, but the general idea is that if your RPM is $5 per 1,000 views, that means that if your video gets 5,000 views, you'll make $25 off of that video. Now, this is the least efficient way of making money as a content creator, primarily because it is the most volatile. All content creators, doesn't matter who they are, go through ebbs and flows. They go through ebbs and flows, and this is reflected in their monthly income. You can see that in 2021 and 2022, my annual income pretty much averaged out to be about the same. But on a month-to-month basis, that was not the case. There were months where I made upwards of $6,000, and there were also months where I hardly made $1,000. Again, AdSense is very, very volatile and should never be your primary source of income, particularly if you're actually trying to pay your bills, because your bills don't change. That's something that I learned the hard way. Even if your income changes, your bills stay the same. So keep that in mind before you move out, before you go and get that car, before you get that nice apartment, or pull out any sort of loans or anything like that. If you're only making money on AdSense, you're hustling backwards. And I'll elaborate on that later on in this video. Now, the second way that most content creators make money is through sponsorships. I don't think that people know how much you can actually make off of a sponsored post. I've signed NDAs with all of my sponsors, at least to my knowledge I have. I cannot disclose how much I make on a per sponsorship basis, but what I will say is that one sponsored post from me right now can make me more money than I made in a month working at H&M. Now, as an emerging content creator, how do you go about getting sponsorships? Well, generally speaking, they come in one of two ways. Either you reach out to the company or the company reaches out to you. This is why it's very important as a content creator from day one to set up a business email. Set up a separate business email which is solely dedicated to business propositions to and from companies. Now, it's also important to manage and protect this email from potential spam, the likes of which I've received in abundance throughout my YouTube career. But luckily for you, you don't have to worry about that. And that brings me to Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Believe me when I tell you that one of the worst parts of securing sponsorships is sifting through spammers and scammers in your inbox. But how exactly does this happen? Data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and others who want to learn more information about you, such as where you live. And as a content creator, this right here is an absolute no-go. You can never let people know where you live. Aura can identify data brokers exposing your info and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Brokers are legally required to remove your information if you ask them to, but they make it super hard to do so. Let Aura handle that for you. Aura also does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats that you can't see. It's really easy to set up, so you don't have to download several different apps to get things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and more. You can get everything at one affordable price. One of the most important things that you can do as a content creator and as an entrepreneur is establishing systems, which I'll elaborate on in a second. So why not start now and let Aura handle all the hard work of keeping you and your brand safe online so that you can focus on other more high leverage tasks, such as creating content. Look, realistically, you have one of two options. You can either continue to let people exploit and profit off of your personal private information, or you can go to aura.com/JordanGreen and start your 2-week free trial today. The choice is yours, but I've already made mine. Now, aside from spam emails, something that you most certainly want to watch out for is you have to watch out for bad deals. Now, what constitutes a bad deal? A bad deal is any deal that does not align with your brand. It doesn't align with your brand. Never take money from a company that doesn't align with your brand. I don't care what financial position you're in. You have to look at the long term. A good rule of thumb for sponsorships is only work with companies whose products you genuinely would use or have used or plan to use. For example, with me, I knew that I wanted to grow out a beard. As you can see, I've made a little bit of progress, and you will be getting a progress video here in the near future. When I knew that I wanted to grow out a beard, and then Copenhagen Grooming reached out to me for a beard growth sponsorship, I figured, why not? Because if I'm going to grow out a beard for free, why not get paid to do it? It doesn't make sense to do things for free if you can make money doing them. This is where sponsorships excel, is that they span a wide range of different interests that you as well as your audience can benefit from. But again, this only applies if you're taking deals that align with your brand. For example, a few years ago, I had a sex toy company reach out to me for a sponsored post. Obviously, I turned them down. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I answered their email. But given that time in my career, it's fair to say that I might have turned down upwards of $800 to $1,000 for that video, maybe even more. But not all money is good money. Some people don't like sponsorships. Me personally, I take any sponsorship I can that aligns with me, my interests, and my brand as a whole. Because again, why do something for free if you know you can get paid for it? Now, the thing with sponsorships is that even if they align with your brand, you're still missing out on a lot of potential money by ignoring the third method of making money. The reason why most people never make it to the third level of income or the third source of income is because it requires the most work, for one, it requires the most risk, and it also requires the biggest financial investment. That being said, the third source of income for content creators and the most efficient and most lucrative form of income for content creators is creating products and or systems. I need you to listen to me very, very closely. As a matter of fact, come closer, okay? Come closer. You need to listen to this. If you want to get rich with content creation, you need to create products and or systems. Now, what does this mean? Let's say, for example, I wanted to make a lot of money. A great way for me to do that would be to create a course. Creating a course on a topic that I am very, very knowledgeable about. Now, if you're not knowledgeable about anything, then perhaps you should question what you're even doing on YouTube in the first place. Not everyone is in the educational realm. Some people are in the entertainment realm. But what I've generally found is that the channels that stick around for the longest provide some sort of value. Some sort of value outside of 5 to 10 minutes of sheer entertainment. This could be anything from inspiration to motivation to maybe the occasional business tip here and there. But generally speaking, even the entertaining channels, the channels which are more centered around entertaining rather than education, still leave breadcrumbs of their success along the way. Great example of this is DDG. Entertainment channel through and through, but I still watched his videos throughout the years, primarily because I still felt motivated by watching his videos. Even though they were entertaining, a lot of them were skits, he always found a way to drop some sort of inspiration or motivation or game as far as business and mindset goes. And I have no doubt that if DDG decided to create a course on his mindset and running a business, especially as it pertains to content creation, he could probably double whatever he's made from YouTube in AdSense, if not triple or quadruple it. Not saying that he needs it, but it's there if he wants it. Now, an alternative way of doing this, and this is something that I did see DDG do before, is creating a system. This is also something that I've seen Hamza do, by the way. You could create a community, an exclusive subscription-based community. Now, in the long term, this might actually be even more lucrative than creating a product, because generally products are only purchased one time, whereas communities are purchased on a recurring basis. They're paid into perpetuity. So for example, if you create a course and the course is $100, the initial cost of running the website and creating the digital infrastructure for that course might come out to, on average, $20 a month. If you sell one course, that means that you've already broken even for 5 months. Whereas if you were to create a community, maybe you charge $25 a month. And let's say, for the sake of this analogy, that you put in the same $20 per month to run this community and operate this community. Each consecutive person that signs up means that you're making more money in the long term, because as the years go on, the difference between the product price and the subscription price will be recouped and more than compensated for. So if you want long-term money, find a way to create a subscription-based system. Patreon is a great example of this, or like Hamza's done, he's gone off and done his own community thing. I don't know all the logistics of it, but to my knowledge, it's a pretty high-ticket thing. It's, I want to say, $100 a month with an initial fee of $500, something like that. So he's pretty much done both. He's created a very high-ticket item which he can profit off of into perpetuity. And I'm sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that he is absolutely filthy rich right now. And a lot of people, they stray away from this, myself included when I was younger, because they think of it as potentially scammy. Not so much that it is scammy, but they think that it might be perceived as scammy and it might dilute their brand image. But what I found is that if you're creating your own products that genuinely provide value to people, people don't mind paying, because ultimately, as long as you're still creating free content for them, they don't have to purchase the product. Another reason why a lot of content creators stray away from this source of income is because, again, it requires the most input as far as the initial amount of work, and a lot of that work is done for free on the front end. And it also requires the largest financial commitment, depending on the type of content that you post. So there's the cost of Building a website, even if you build it yourself like I did, you're going to have to pay for the domain name. You're going to have to pay for maybe your email marketing subscription. You're going to have to pay to play as far as this category goes. However, you will make the most money. To illustrate this point, I want to finish this video by sharing this story from this book called Rich Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Once upon a time, there was this quaint little village. It was a great place to live except for one problem. The village had no water unless it rained. To solve this problem once and for all, the village elders asked contractors to submit bids to deliver water to the village on a daily basis. 2 people volunteered to take on the task, and the elders awarded the contract to both of them. They felt that a little competition would keep prices low and ensure a backup supply of water. The first person who won the contract, Ed, immediately ran out, bought 2 galvanized steel buckets, and began running back and forth to the lake, which was a mile away. He immediately began making money as he labored morning to dusk, hauling water from the lake with his 2 buckets. He would empty them out into the large concrete holding tank the village had built. Each morning, he had to get up before the rest of the village awoke to make sure there was enough water for the people. It was hard work, but he was very happy to be making money and for having one of the 2 exclusive contracts for this business. The second winning contractor, Bill, disappeared for a while. He wasn't seen for months, which made Ed very happy since he had no competition. Instead of buying 2 buckets to compete with Ed, Bill wrote a business plan, created a corporation, found 4 investors, employed a president to do the work, and returned 6 months later with a construction crew. Within a year, his team had built a large volume stainless steel pipeline which connected the village to the lake. At the grand opening celebration, Bill announced that his water was cleaner than Ed's water. Bill knew that the villagers had complained about the water's lack of cleanliness. Bill also announced that he could supply the village with water 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Ed could only deliver water on weekdays because he didn't want to work on weekends. Then Bill announced that he would charge 75% less than Ed did for this higher quality, more reliable water. The villagers cheered and immediately ran for the faucet at the end of Bill's pipeline. In order to compete, Ed immediately lowered his rate by 75%, bought 2 more buckets, added covers to his buckets, and began hauling 4 buckets each trip. In order to provide better service, he hired his 2 sons to give him a hand on the night shift and on weekends. When his boys went off to college, he said to them, "Hurry back, because someday this business will belong to you." For some reason, his 2 sons never returned. Eventually, Ed had employees and union problems. The union demanded higher wages and better benefits and wanted its members to only haul 1 bucket at a time. Meanwhile, Bill realized that if this village needed water, then other villages must need water too. He rewrote his business plan, went off to sell his high-speed, high-volume, low-cost, clean water delivery system to villages throughout the world. He only makes a penny per bucket of water delivered, but he delivers billions of buckets of water every day. Whether he works or not, billions of people consume billions of buckets of water, and all that money pours into his bank account. Bill developed a pipeline to deliver money to himself as well as water to the villages. Bill lived happily ever after. Ed worked hard for the rest of his life and had financial problems forever after. The end.